Inside each one of us is a natural born storyteller waiting to be released. That is exactly the story of our next guest, an unsettler who started a page called Cuppadoodle as a side hustle with her day job, which later turned into a full grown business. She's a self taught illustrator, cartoonist, animator, and a story cooker, as she calls herself. She completed her design masters from NIFT Delhi, worked for 2 years as a graphic designer, and finally took a leap of faith to become a solopreneur from home. To know more about her and her journey, let me welcome today's guest, Nikita Agarwal. Hi, Nikita. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm alive and well. Welcome to the Unsettling podcast.
Really excited to be here. Really excited to have this whole conversation with you. Very happy.
I am really excited to know about you because I was like, I've seen you on Instagram for a while. And then, I've been following your work. And I thought, like, there is these cute videos that you keep posting. There's a cute laughter track that you run in the background. And I wanted to know who this is. That is when I reached out to you. I sent you an email. And I'm really glad you said yes to this. So I'm really excited to know more about you.
Same here.
When did you realize that engineering was not your calling and, the storytelling and animation was?
So actually, these are like very two different phases, these both of these things didn't happen at the same time. So realizing engineering is not my field is even before engineering. So even like, like giving those entrances form and filling all those forms, even then I had, in my gut that, if I should really do this, if, like my dad was also really skeptical about designing because he had his own, like a trail of thought that probably this might not fit into her career. This might not be a safe option, like how they call it. So that is when, I just settled for engineering at that point. And then when I've reached my third year, so I took like around 2 years to really understand that this is not my field at all. Because of course in college 1 year is, like you're chilling, you're with friends, in the hostel, you're just settling down, you have that fun. But then when you really start thinking about your career, that's when you realize that, you can't do this for your entire life. Like I can't even sit for 1 hour, prepare for the placements because it's so hectic, it's so irritating to even talk about computer science and C++. This is not my field. I mean,
Right.
some people, they enjoy it, they're doing really well in it, but if it is not my field, it doesn't work for me. So then so I was speaking to one of my friend who was also preparing for designing at that point, and then I started looking for different coaching centers because I wanted to understand if there is a scope after graduation to enter into design field, because I was that clueless at that point. So then I started looking for few coaching centers. I went to the centers, then I asked for the guidance. They gave me the entire idea of that, you can go for masters, and these are all the gates that can be open for you. These are all the possibilities that you still have. The game is still not over, you still have scope. So then I started preparing for entrances. So I was constantly going for coachings during the weekend, because my only idea of coaching was that I was clueless about design and this whole industry, and like how the entrances work, what capabilities you need to have while you're sitting in the entrance, in the entrance examination. So all of that, I need to have those design maturity, let's say. So for that, I took that coaching, I gave the entrances. Luckily, I got into NIFT Delhi, and then this whole thing started. So finally, I switched my field, thankfully, from engineering.
I am so glad you did. I'm so glad that you had that, sensibility to go ask people and figure out what you want to do next, because most of us didn't at that age. And I'm really glad that you figured that out. But when you spoke about self-taught, we spoke about that in the bio. Um, how is it something that you learned from coaching, or you learned everything online, or did you get inspired by someone? Ki, "Nahi, this person has done, so I'll also do it."
No, it's a mix of all, Amrita, I
Right.
would say. So during my masters was not really teaching me how to do storytelling or how to do animation.
Really?
Our
Okay.
masters was actually trying to make us design mature students,
Mhm.
right? No, not just to go and, like art is not design. You need to understand your customers. You need to have a niche. You need to understand who you are catering to.
Right.
That is how our design maturity came through, our juries and assignments, a lot of drilling, of course. So all the faculties, they kept, because it's a very small batch. We were a
Right.
batch of probably 28 people,
Oh.
right? So you can't even hide in the class. So if the faculty knows what you have done, where you've gone wrong, what they are expecting from you next, so they know everything. So the term that I use self-taught is because the skill of storytelling and animation is what I've learned on my own.
Okay.
Of course, there were colleagues who introduced me to, these artists, Alicia Souza, Neha Doodles, and, Monica Tata, all these artists, of course, because I was clueless about, doodling. I knew there were few artists from whom I was buying these merchandise from, but I didn't know that they were doing this like a full-time job, right? I didn't know there is a field for doodle artist and comic artist.
Correct.
So then, of course, I gathered all these inspiration from Instagram. Then I went through their tutorials, of course, and there are many resources. So I think in my NIFT journey, my first 2 semesters have been in the library, in the comic section. They had a section for comic
Wow.
books and design books. So that
Mhm.
is where I found out about Mario Miranda, R.K. Lakshman, and all these, Indian artists, because I get more inspired by Indian stories as compared to any other stories.
Mhm.
So that's where my, that eye for detail went into comics, that this is a really deep field if you dig into it. So that's when the storytelling bit came, and then animation was something that I always liked, but I never thought I can do it. And even now I think I'm learning, but even then I thought I can never do animation, it's just not my field.
Mhm.
But then, when I saw one I think one animation by Alicia Souza only, where her character was moving legs, okay, just sitting in the balcony and the character was moving legs.
Mhm.
I was so fascinated. I said that if she can do it, of course, there is a way to do it. I just
Correct.
need to find that way. Of course, it's not happening somewhere from like a miracle. Of course, there is a software that is, probably even if she's taking a second help, probably, then I found many animation artists. Then
Mhm.
I got this book, even again in the library, called Animator Survival Kit. And then I
Okay.
went into the basics, and then I understood. So it happened step by step, like
Mhm.
switching my field, and then storytelling, then animation. But I think I'm a believer that when things happen step by step, you actually pay a lot of attention to one thing at that moment, and then
Correct.
you move on to the next. So you have, like you have cracked one thing,
Evolved
you
kind of.
are
Yeah.
comfortable with that, then you're moving ahead with the other thing. So that kind of worked for me in this case.
Oh, nice. I mean, so how do you do it? Because is it digital sketching? Do you make a sketch by hand and then figure out that this is something that you can put it on digital platform and then animate it? How does it work, the entire process?
So I work on Procreate only. So
Okay.
even for the static illustrations also I work on Procreate. Then there is an animation step also in Procreate. But
Okay.
of course the editing of sound effects and all the dialogues and all the transitions, that I do on a third software.
Okay.
But for the whole entire animation thing, I actually started with Photoshop. So I used to have a Wacom tablet initially, but then it's very tough. The tablet is here and the
Correct.
screen is here. So constantly you're like, you're doing this and this and this. It's very tough to keep that track. So I started with it, but then of course, when you're studying, you don't have funds to buy an iPad at that point.
Yeah.
So when I started doing my job, of course, that gave me a little bit stability in terms of, like you can buy your own iPad. So I remember when I bought my iPad, it was on my birthday, and I was sitting with my boyfriend. I was sitting like, listen, I need a 1 minute piece that I've really spent 50,000 on something that I'm not even sure of if I'll use it for drawing, or I'll just use it for watching Netflix. I'm not sure, but I've just bought it. So he's
Correct.
like, just relax. Probably this will turn into something big, turn into something that you really want to do. And it really helped me a lot. I am really glad that I bought it, and finally, I started doing this full time. So it's
Completely. I
it's a
completely agree. I'm on board with this. I'm glad you invested in that. And now we are having a chat because of that. So yeah, definitely a plus. So I wanted to know why the name Cuppadoodle. Like, I know the story, but I just want my listeners to know it as well.
So Cuppadoodle actually, so I was sitting in my office when I started this page. Okay, so
Mhm.
initially this page name was Ink and Pixels. That was very random that I started this page, and I was just posting something, super random about, because I used to draw a lot about me and my boyfriend. There's a big suitcase packed with all these handmade, cards and all these cartoons that I used to draw for him because we were in a long distance for a really long time. So that's the only thing that, that keeps it more
Correct.
alive. You just keep drawing, you keep couriering something, all of that. So then when I started doing this, I just know that to be anywhere you need to have a niche, and I understood that my niche is definitely into couple comics because that's what I've been doing, and
Mhm.
that's what I really enjoy doing because I really live in that relationship. I really enjoy being in a relationship. So that's how I started the page. But of course, that name wasn't going with the vibe of what I was
Correct.
posting. So I was sitting in the office, I was asking my colleagues, what should be the name, what do you think I can put? So we had like random names in our head. But then my two very, very close friends, they told me that, just use something that is nostalgic, use
Yeah.
something that people can immediately connect to, because ink and pixels is not something that, people will recall easily.
Mm.
Use something that has a recall value. So they said, like, for example, let's say we have Cuppa noodles now, let's do it Cuppa noodles. So I said, let's just do it Cuppa noodle. I want to change the name. Let's just do it right away. Let's just do it Cuppa noodle because I really connect with that name. So then let's just do it Cuppadoodle. And I think I've been sticking to it. I'm comfortable with that name now. It's something that, people recall very easily because
Yeah.
they know how to say Cuppa noodle. So Cuppadoodle is not very tough to
Mhm.
pronounce or even, to remember. So that is how Cuppadoodle I changed the
Okay.
name from Ink and Pixels to Cuppadoodle.
Cuppadoodle is actually very relatable because that is how I remember it. It's like it clicks
Yeah.
instantly and you recall it as well. Yeah. But I read somewhere that just because you were a foodie, someone
I
suggested that.
am a foodie, so of course the recommendations of Cuppa noodles were coming from the fact, like that you like eating noodles. So let's say for example there's Cuppa noodles, then why not do it Cuppa noodles? And I'm like, yeah, it's going with the vibe, it's going with the artist, it's going with everything. Let's just do it Cuppa noodle.
Nice. It actually suits the entire vibe of the, page as well. But I just wanted
Yeah.
to know, how do you come up with these concepts? Like, I know you are like so into the relationship and you really come up with things that people relate to as well. But now do people also send you concepts and you come up with those? Does that happen to you?
Honestly, when people send me all these concepts, it's really sweet. People being open about their relationship and sending me, just very random, can you draw something? This happened with us yesterday. Can you draw something like this? It's very sweet.
Mhm.
But what I feel for an artist to really bring something out there is what they actually feel inside. So
Correct.
what I feel inside is, of course, my life and my relationship because
Mhm.
I've been in that moment. So I know the feeling of it and I can bring that feeling through various different actions in that animation, right? So it's 100% coming from the inspiration of my life because anyways, like we spend a lot of time together. So there's a lot of content. I always call him that you're my content piece of my life. I don't have you, I don't have this page, I don't have content, so stay around me all the time. So I have him, of course, that inspiration comes from him, but that
Mhm.
warmth of just expressing those emotions is probably what I also like in other stories that I read, what the kind of content I absorb, not exactly comics, probably the movies, the rom-coms that I like to watch. It's coming, and probably it's inspired from everywhere, the kind of personality I have.
Right.
It's there in the comics as well. But again, the inspiration is dependent on what kind of day I'm having.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all around it. Yeah.
It's an artist's problem. I completely
Artist
understand.
problem.
Yeah. If you're not in the zone, you can't make even one
Yeah,
sketch. And if you're in the zone, you'll make like
I
30 animations in one day.
I agree. I agree. If you're not, and it's very tough to explain. People
Mm.
sometimes they're asking that why you're not posting anything. And I'm like, listen, I'm just not in the zone. I have no content right now. I'm really packed with work. I can't think about anything happy right now.
Right.
I just want to deal with the clients at the moment. So of course it happens. You of course you have, road blogs, you have mind blogs, all these
Mhm.
creative blog and everything that
Yeah.
keeps happening. But again, the life inspiration always helps.
Oh, I'm glad. So yeah, it's going well. But I just wanted to know, like the two characters that you've created, they look very cute, definitely. But how did you zero in on those sketches? Like this is exactly how these characters are going to look.
No, so that never happened. So I always wanted the character to really resemble like me and my husband, of course, because
Yeah.
this page will grow to this level. I never expected that. But I wanted, like two cute characters through which, through whom I'll just say that story of what we are feeling. That's my initial idea.
Right.
So I started doing these characters. Initially, she used to wear those, rounded specs with two hearts and a little bit of curly hair, because at that time I didn't have any straightening done, so I had curly hairs at that point. And then he had a standard look, and his specs keeps changing, of course, but somewhere closer to what I have. But again, when you keep drawing them daily, you just know how to bring those character really alive. So of
Mhm.
course, like I always add that tummy to his character and to my character, because of course we have that. It's little exaggerated, yes, but we have that
It's very real.
personality.
Yeah.
It's like we are foodies. We eat, and we have those bloated tummies. What we can do, we have it. So that's what I try to bring in those characters, and that's there. So of course it's inspired from probably the kind of characters I like in general, and the kind
Mhm.
of characters like we are in life. So a mix of both.
Oh, okay. So did you get a customized specs made by any chance? Like I see the t-shirt there definitely.
So, no, so I had like rounded specs, yes. So there was one client who wanted me to do a merchandise of the specs, okay. But
Mhm.
I think I haven't planned, of course, but probably sometime in the future I'll have those specs. Yes, it's there in the logo. So of course it kind of it's a watermark for Cuppadoodle. So
Mhm.
probably yes.
It'll look really cute. I mean, maybe in metal and something, it'll actually pop
Yeah,
out.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Probably one day I'll do one, like a shoot with those props
Oh yeah,
with
it'll look
the,
so pretty.
but like I got this done for a cake, like a cake
Oh.
topper. I got the specs done with the, like Cuppadoodle written on it, just like for your own happiness, cutting a cake with the specs.
Please send me pictures. I'll post
I
them
will,
with
I
this.
will. I will.
Ayo. So, how much time and effort does it take for you to make one short animation video that you post on Instagram?
I so that's very tricky. So I'll tell you
Mhm.
what happens sometimes. Sometimes the idea that I have in mind is so crisp, direct, you're sure about it, it's going to do well. So you complete the idea in 40 minutes, and the editing is done in 20 minutes, and it's done in 1 hour. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes you have an idea, you keep brainstorming that idea while drawing it. What you thought initially leads to something else, and the output is completely different, so that takes me around 2-3 hours sometimes. So
Okay.
it's like, I mean, I can't really quantify the exact time, but of course, yes, nothing less than 1 hour for one animation.
Okay, 1 hour. My God. I especially like the Diwali cleaning part. That was very cute. And I know that
That's
was
what
the
we
1 hour
were
thing.
That was the one hour thing, yes, because that's what we were doing. I just took a picture of him cleaning the fan, and I took a picture and I said, I'm going to draw this today. He's like, leave me alone for one day, madam. Please leave me alone. Please stop calling me your content for one day. I have a private
God.
life, and I listen, you're my piece of content. You will be my piece of content.
But it was very nice, especially the mask moving, the hair moving, the butt moving. It was very cute. It
Thank you.
was really, really relatable. So, I just saw one of your ad posts for workshops that you conduct, and where you
Hmm.
have spoken about the art of storytelling, the art of creating cartoons from scratch. So, can you tell the
Hmm.
listeners about that journey? How does it work? The expressions, the postures, and everything. How do you design the whole thing?
So storytelling for me is more like, drawing something that is very simple,
Mm-hmm.
yet it needs to touch a chord in your heart somewhere, like
Right.
through any moment, and it needs to be relatable. So because I generally don't absorb content that is very complex. I like simple something, that I'll say, while watching an anime, this happens with us, right? So we do that many times, you remember we have also done this. So that's the expression that I want everyone while they are watching my animation, that, listen, this is you, right? This is you. This is what you also do. So that is my idea of storytelling. Of course, that's not the standard idea, but that is what I believe storytelling needs to be for me. And for the technical part of it, the body anatomy and the whole expression drawings, postures, this is something, of course, that you learn with time. It needs a lot of practice. But if you have the basics clear with you, you just know the proportions of the body, you know how your body language is. So there is a quote that says that your body language again is connected with your brain, like how your brain is functioning in that moment is what will be expressed through your body. So while even I'm drawing that whole scene, so if I know that I'm scared in that scene, so I'll really imagine myself being scared. Not something that I've seen in comic books, what a scared character would look like, probably like freezed and probably, like with all the hair in the air, like freeze. No, not like that. For me, scared is, probably something that is more organically scared at home. Right, not very exaggerated, but something, like just becoming a little monster in the home and just, like at the corner, a little scared and weeping. That is my idea of being scared. So your anatomy, you need to, of course, practice. So I take a lot of examples outside. I take a picture of anyone, randomly anyone. So when I used to travel in the metro, right, initially, so people say, even my faculty used to say that in the metro, you find people in every different posture. Somebody standing, holding the pole, somebody just lying down. You'll find tired people. You'll find really energetic, active, enthusiastic people. So you'll find like a mix of different moods in a metro or in a marketplace, anywhere. Because in a metro, you have like a very, like a abundance of time to actually observe somebody, observe the body language. So I think that's where the clarity came, that yes, if somebody is really exhausted and tired, this is what the body language needs to be. Like body is just, it has no energy at all. It's almost like a dead body, right? And if somebody is, is very enthusiastic, the expression, is very different. The eyes are like really big and your body is like straight, and you're thinking about something. Somebody who's gossiping, they're just leaning down like this, and they're talking about something, like very kuspus kuspus. So this is like what the observation helps, where the observation really helps, and I've seen that somewhere. So of course, when it's your daily job, you observe this everywhere. Wherever you're going, you obviously automatically, or your observation will be that I've seen somebody doing that. So I think that I can use in my animation now. So all these observation and practice, a mix of both. That's what I even discuss in my workshops also, that this is the ideal way to do it. Of course, I can teach you the basics, but the main thing is, of course, to keep practicing and observing people around you, things around you, materials around you. Everything really helps. So it's a mix of focusing on each part separately.
My God. So did you observe me as well?
Yes, like how to draw a beautiful anchor host in my animation. Of course, let's say when I post this on my page, I'll definitely draw you as,
thank you.
the marketing purpose. Let's do that.
Oh my God, that's very sweet of you. But I just realized, when you were talking, I never observed it as much detail as you have. That while gossiping, people just, go like this. Like, "Usko dekha kya?"
Lean down.
Yeah, lean down and
down.
crouch and become very tiny. Yeah,
Whisper, yeah. So these like very
exactly.
small. And it's really fun to observe people like that. No, and especially when you draw it, you're like, oh right, I've noticed this somewhere, and it's so easy to draw now
Correct.
because everything you can find on the internet. So if you look for somebody scared or somebody probably tired on internet, there's a very standard body
Correct.
expression that you'll find. But something that you want to be genuine, organic, something, that's fresh will of course come from the observations, from somebody around you. So that's what I try to do in the work.
I'm also going to do that now next time. I'm just going to observe people around me and see how they behave and what are their body languages. I'll send you pictures.
Send me screenshots, okay? Send me screenshots of
I'll
people.
send you pictures of people. You tell me what expressions you want. I'll just find them in my office.
Yes, it's fun. Trust me, it's a lot of fun.
What else do I have to do? Sit in front of the laptop? I just observe people. That's my job.
Even in office, I'm sure you'll find
Yeah,
people who are really interested in the work, some who are disinterested, some who are, very much like chit-chatting and,
correct.
eating food. They're like variety of people, and to observe them, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, while you were talking, I just remembered one thing. So I was coming back from office yesterday and it was very late.
Yeah.
It was 9:30. I was stuck in traffic. And Pavam, there was one guy with a phone on video call. He was showing his wife,
Okay.
look, I'm stuck in traffic.
So now see, if this happens, I can make it a reel.
Yeah,
See, I have to give you proof
exactly.
all the time.
See, and actually was, holding the phone up so that she can see the traffic, like how far it is. And I was laughing the whole time.
Poor him, poor him.
I know. Maybe you can do this. This is another real idea. Maybe you can try.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so when did you decide to branch out into wedding invites and customized illustrations? Can you tell us the story of how you landed your first client?
So customized illustration is, I think I really liked when other artists were doing, fun caricatured work and customized work. I think this is how you also cater to a very different audience who's not here to just read the comics, go through the animation, but they're here for business,
Mhm.
right? So if you have to cater that, of course, if you need to have more stabilized business, let's say. So
Mhm.
in that term, I think customization was one thing that I was really interested into. So I started doing that for my cousins and friends, because I know them
Okay.
personally. So I know how the caricature needs to look like, how closely it can resemble to the real person. So I
Mhm.
started with them, I started with the gifting, and then I got my first client very similar to what I've posted of my cousins. Like all my cousins, they were married, and I was posting, couple customized illustrations on the page. So
Correct.
one customer landed, I want exactly like this. It too was such a fulfilling feeling. And I was like, of course, I didn't charge a lot. It's not
Right.
something that I was doing for money at that point. I had a full-time job. So this is something that I was doing just out of just that I like. This is what I love
Correct.
to do. But then when somebody actually saw that potential in giving that commissioned work to somebody, and
Mhm.
for an artist it's something very satisfactory, especially for you when you get that first client through your personal work. I think that is something that you understand, okay, this has the potential
Yeah.
to, probably if I can reach one customer, probably the other day I can reach two, and probably in a month I can reach 3 4 customers, and eventually it keeps growing, because I
Correct.
think this is word of mouth.
Mhm.
One customer, they get something done, they tell their friends, of course they'll reach out to you, and probably they will have a very different idea of what they want to get done. So it's
Right.
it's a very it branches out into very different type of clients and customer, but it's a lot of fun. Like I really enjoy working into customization, wedding invites, especially the generally they make a group with the girl and the
Oh.
fiance. They have lists, so we have a group, right, especially for a
Uh-huh.
wedding invite. And the way they communicate, yeah, I think you wanted these flowers, right, in the invites, you like these flowers, no, you wanted this in the invite, right? So
Mhm.
we just have like a really open discussion, and the
Yeah.
way you connect with the couple, what they want in the invite, you bring that on the digital invite, and something that is a memory for them,
Correct.
probably not just till the wedding, it will be a memory for them throughout their life. So that's something very very exciting to work on. So I really enjoy working on customizations, wedding invites, all of that. So even now I've started working even on comics. Okay, so
Mhm.
people come to me saying that, can you draw our story till now, people who
Oh.
met probably 3 4 years back. So this is how we met, and this is what happened. These were the milestones that we achieved in our relationship. So them sharing their entire stories, I think it takes a lot of effort
Yeah.
to even think, especially boys. Boys are reaching out to me, this is what you want to gift to our girlfriends or to my fiance or to my wife. It's so warm. Like for them to come to me that this is, this I think she like. please create something for us. It's really lovely. Like how people are thinking in every different possibilities that this is the customization that they want to get done. So it keeps growing, of course. You
Right.
get different clients, they come with different ideas. So of
Mm-hmm.
course the credit goes to the client. They are coming with different ideas. I'm just here to, draw it and just deliver it to them. So, but
Oh,
it's a really fun to
okay.
do.
So you've done customized illustrations, wedding invites, also comics. I just recently saw one calendar that has come recently launched. What else have you done?
It's a hustle. It's something. So calendar is something that I wanted to do even last year, but since it was my wedding, I didn't try to tap into anything that will block me from
Correct.
all the preps that going on. It's a very different job to get married. Not talking about it right now, but
You're right.
but but this year, this whole thing of calendar, because there's the same season of wedding invites. This is the
Mhm.
season for all the weddings. Then this is the season for calendar. But I really love this part of the job, right? This
Yeah.
part is something that, I have one query from here. I'm working on something from here. I have a DM saying that, we like the calendar. We're going to keep it, or I'm going to gift it. It's something, it's very satisfactory for an artist. Like you're getting validation from different clients in different
Right.
domain. Satisfactory to have that. So that's a good feeling.
I'm glad that you're doing so many things. I keep saying, oh, this is new. Okay. Something or
I mean,
the other is good.
how you will entertain yourself?
Yeah.
How else? Like
Correct,
if you
correct.
keep doing one thing, it's very mundane, it's boring.
Yeah.
So of course you need to experimenting, see what works, what new can be done. And I think that's how we also grow,
Yeah.
right? In any creative industry, that's how we all grow. So I think
True,
that's
true. That's what you also said, right? You learn something for a while, figure that out, and then move on to something different. You keep
yes,
on growing as
yes,
much as possible. Wow.
yes.
So, you just spoke about finding your first commissioned work while you were doing a job, and then growing from there. So, how difficult was it to quit that and follow your passion full time? I understand monetization comes very late, but then
Hmm.
what gave you that grit to make sure that you kept going through no matter what?
So, firstly, I didn't quit my job when I was not earning anything from my part-time business. So, I
Okay.
don't believe in something that I'll just take one decision emotionally that this is what I want to do. I won't say that I was equally stable as my job in this,
Mhm.
but I could see a ray of hope that yes, if I give this my, entire day, like right now, I'm just giving 2 hours a day. Probably if I give 9 to 10 hours, of course, this will turn into something bigger than what I'm trying to do right now.
Correct.
But what really changed me was definitely COVID. I think it was a reflection for many of us,
Mhm.
thinking like, oh, if not today, then when? So there was a point in my job where I was like, I had no heart in that.
Right.
I started with a lot of enthusiasm in that job, but when I started really liking what I'm doing part time, so of course you lose your interest somewhere because you have actually understood where your heart really lies in terms
Mhm.
of your creative juices, where your creative juices are really flowing. So that's
Correct.
where my whole brain was. So at that point, I remember one day, I think it was in August last year, I was really upset that I'm like, I can't do this. I think I'm much better than this. I think I can do much better than what I'm doing right now. I can't do this. So I called, we were engaged at that point. So I called him. I called my husband. I said that, I can't do this. He said, I'm coming home. Let's sit with your parents and let's just decide this, like, because you've been thinking this for a long time. Let's just decide this finally.
Correct.
So I can't take that decision on my own. But of course, I had that gut telling me that, Nikita, you can do this. Just take this decision. Just leave this on leap of faith and let's just try what happens. Let's see. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
So that day, he supported, my family supported, and then I thought that I'll just put my resignation today. Because if I don't do it today, I might stick with my job again for another 6 months.
Correct.
Because then you keep thinking on the fact that, probably the increment is coming or probably the promotion is coming, let's just do that, or probably let's just keep doing this,
Yeah.
because you're scared, right, to
Yeah.
leave. And especially when you're going to start a different phase of life, of course, not having that stability is really
Yeah.
scary sometimes. But I think I had my gut saying that, I think this is what I really want to do. I don't know how it will turn out, but again, this is what I want to do. And let's just see. Of course, I can anytime apply for a job later on if this
Yeah.
doesn't work out. But again, I never thought of really applying for any other job. It was just like, it was just in the back of my mind that maybe if it doesn't work out, probably then.
Correct.
But I knew that I wanted to do this, so let's just give it a try. Just that, not overthinking it, just giving it a leap of faith and just
Oh,
started doing.
wow. That's great. I mean, I just remembered that speech by Jim Carrey, I don't know whether you've seen it. It's there on Instagram a lot. If you can
Yeah,
fail at
I have.
things that you don't like, so why not fail?
Yes,
Try the things that you actually want to do. So
try the thing. Yes,
that
yes,
was
and that's
very apt.
very true. Yeah, but it's just that sometimes you just need to stop overthinking and over analyzing things.
Hmm.
That's where I think, because if I kept thinking about it, and many of us, many of the entrepreneurs, they've just given themselves that leap of faith that, let's just, no matter what
Yeah,
happens, let's just try. Let's just give it a try.
correct.
So I think that confidence really helps. And then what happens later on, of course, you need to leave a few things on destiny. You need to leave a few things on your hard work, your efforts, and probably how things will turn out. But I think if you give anything your 100%, I truly believe that if you
Yeah,
give your 100%, something will happen. If not today, probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, probably day after. It will happen. It will come to you. That's
correct.
that's what I believe.
Oh, that's really beautiful. But I'm really glad you
Very
took that leap of faith, man. I'm seriously
yeah.
really happy for you.
You.
So did you, I hope you never went through this, but did you ever have this self-doubt that, you took this leap of faith, but things are not working out, and maybe that job that I thought I could get, I could maybe think of that. Did it ever happen to you?
So initial few months, yes, it
Yeah.
did. Because initially, when you have taken a decision, somewhere back of the mind, you're very optimistic that,
Mm,
things will fall into place. And when they don't, you are really demotivated. And
mm,
you obviously you start self-doubting that did you take the right decision? Or, it was like a hush-hush decision. Do you
mm,
think you need to go back to your job? But then whenever in 3-4 months I realized that those 3-4 months where they were critical, when you have to when things are not falling into place, that's when you really reflect on what you have done, what's not working, what is the next plan of action, where you're going wrong, where you can really explore. So I think if that doesn't happen, there'll be no reflections. If there'll be no reflections, then of course you won't improve.
mhm,
So, and I think probably there is a patch that you feel like you're failing, and there's something new comes up, and you again see like something good is happening. So now if anytime this happens to me, of course it happens to every entrepreneur, I feel like you feel like you're failing sometimes.
mhm,
But I know it has happened before, that things were not falling into place, and after a while it was all okay. Then even now, if it's not falling into place, it will be okay in the coming months. I just need to understand where I'm going wrong and what I need to just reflect on me, that probably you could have done this, if not that,
mhm.
you could have done this is the new thing that you need to experiment now. Let's not keep it mundane. So I think it's just I just believe a lot on reflecting on my own actions. That's very important for me, and I think that happens when we're failing. While we're doing well, we generally don't sit with ourselves and say
Correct.
what we have done wrong. No, we really recollect that "Acha, theek hai, we have taken a good decision and this is the result of it." But of course, when you fail, then you really think that this is where we went wrong and this is what we need to do. So if that doesn't happen, I think we don't grow, and that is a part of growing. So that's very important. That's what I've learned in the past 1 year, that it's the failure is a part of growing in this business.
My God, that is the deepest and the most amazing
Yes.
answer I have got so far. It's actually so true, because if you don't fail, you don't reflect. You just keep doing the things that you do. But when you fail, you
Like,
grow.
if my friends are gonna watch this, they'll be like, "You again have gone to the deep end of conversations." I promised myself before this interview, Nikita, don't go very deep in the conversations. You will be going there. But I've done
Oh God.
that again. Shit.
It's okay. It's fine. I actually
But
love this answer
this is the
so
reality.
much.
This is
Okay, there's one more deep question coming.
deep question. Okay. It's not my fault you're asking me deep question, guys. This is a disclaimer. I'm
Yeah.
not giving deep answers. I'm giving answer to deep questions.
Yeah. Okay. Should I or should I not ask this question? Now I'm really scared.
No, no,
Like,
no.
I don't
Please,
want deep
please.
questions. Okay,
No, 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 no. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you that you know, there might be a memory from your entire journey so far that actually keeps you going. Any incident, any person, someone that inspired you. Is there any memory that you can think of right now?
I think the part that when I really have written the resignation and I really started and I posted on my page that I've taken this full time with the leap of faith. I think that is the probably the biggest transition that I've done in my career. And
Okay.
that was the game changer in terms of the career chart, I would say, because that I feel for me as a person that has taken a lot of courage to
Yeah.
do that. So that is one memory that I'll always remember, that if I can take that decision, then probably I can take even bigger decisions in the future. So if I can do that, so probably I will have the courage to take
Wow.
even decisions.
I'm glad I asked this deep question then. So I know that your life is very hectic. Just before we were getting on this call, you were in a meeting. But what does a typical day in your life look like?
So I'm a bit of an extremist, okay? Either I'll have like a very hustle day. Like I'll
Mhm.
be working 12 hours, I'll be doing an all-nighter and I won't eat and I won't sleep and I'll be all fine. Or otherwise, there are days that I'm like a sloth bear, doing nothing, not thinking about any client, not thinking about any timeline. So I'm either on this end or that end. Okay, so otherwise, if let's say for a normal day, it would be like I wake up by around 10:30.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I'll just first thing is to just clean up the whole house because I can't work in a messy setup.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So that's the first thing that I do. Second is I have to go on my Instagram DM, that I have to
Mhm.
reply to everyone. And then on the mail, of course, just replying to everything that is happening on the mail and DM. Then working for the client, because I have to just be, for me, it's very important that I deliver things on time to the client. That's very, very
Mhm.
important for me. So if I have to give them updates of the work, right?
Yeah.
That this is where your work is at, this is the progress. So I don't like them following up, right?
Mhm.
So that is the first thing that I do once I'm done with all the mailing part. So then that's when I first give all the updates to the client, work on their whole customized commissioned work, and then after that I always try to find some time to post daily. That's what I'm aiming to. It doesn't happen because it's very time taking to make those animations, right? And
Yeah.
also to be in that space every day is very difficult. Like
Mhm.
probably there are days when you're stuck with, probably a very tricky work, or even personally, or even you're just not tired, you're just physically, you're not well, anything, right?
Mhm.
So I just try to give like 1 or 2 hours, probably by from 7 to 9, to daily posting or animation, because at 9 I
Okay.
always try to post something on my page. And then I think again till 11, then I work, we eat, of course, the dinner, and then I send some updates to the client. And then by 11, me and my husband, we're both done with the day. That's where we watch something random, any web series or any random movie, any crime thriller, anything for another 2, 3 hours, and then we sleep by 2 or 3. That's the
Oh my
general
God.
routine.
Nice. I'm going to ask you for movie recommendations. It's been a while for me.
It's really random. Anything that comes up on Netflix, we watch. Anything. Any suspense, anything. We're not very choosy, but of course we both like rom-coms, or otherwise we like a
Okay.
lot of crime. That's where, like a lot of suspense. Of course, we need to have a closure. We're very upset that these days they're making movies without
Open-ended
any closure.
movies. Yeah,
Open-ended.
why? End it for
I
me.
don't You're watching after you're tired, you're giving your 3 hours to that movie. Give us something.
Yeah.
How did we
Validation,
sleep? Give
closure.
us
That is
something.
what we're living for.
Yeah. They need. No, they don't want to give any closure.
I understand your pain. That is why I've stopped watching anything new, because I tend to run or rerun the shows that I've already watched. Friends will be running in the background because I
Yeah,
know the dialogues.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friends is all time.
Is there any message that you would like to share from your journey so far with the young and upcoming artists?
With the young and upcoming artist, firstly, I would of course say that go with your gut. If you really feel that this is the field or any creative field that you want to go ahead with, or anything that has a risk of, probably you might fail in the future, just go with the gut. Give your 100%. Be very honest to your art, and be very optimistic about it. Just think that you'll do well. Just think, and I'm sure they say, like, this is what a mother says generally, na, acha sochoge to acha hoga. That's what they say.
True.
Like, if you think good things will happen to you. So that's my mantra, that think good and good things will happen to you. So I would say,
Yeah.
just have that confidence in you to take any of your passion full time.
I will definitely keep this in mind and let the others know as well.
Yes, yes. I'm looking forward.
Me too, me too. Someday it'll happen.
Yes, yes, 100%.
So coming to the final question, because everybody asks you to settle down, I ask you, what is your definition of settled, beta?
What is my definition of getting settled?
Yes.
So, as per my family, I'm settled because I'm married. So, I'm
Correct.
settled. Of course, the list never ends, but for now, I'm settled. But for me, honestly, I think getting settled has like different branches again, like emotionally, and in your career, and in your every phase of life. So I think emotionally, I'm very much settled at this point. I think, like, I'm in my comfort zone, and this is what I really wanted, like, to focus on my career and to have, like, a slow life and not a very hustle life. This is
Yeah.
where I feel like I'm settled. But of course, if I see at the bigger picture, settle would be to just keep growing, keep experimenting different things, understanding this domain of career even more, that I feel more comfortable with it.
Mhm.
And I of course look forward to working with many different clients with different brands. This is where I see myself. So I think being settled for me is a work in progress. It will keep happening day by day. But of course, I feel like here I'll always be settled, because I think I'm generally very satisfied as a person, and I need to be emotionally satisfied in life to be settled. Career is something that will keep growing. Of course, you need to keep giving your everything to it. And of course, there will be a point where I feel that, I've reached to that level that I feel that this is where I want to be. But I think that keeps changing. So where probably I'll reach after 3-4 years, that's when I feel that probably there is more
Correct.
to achieve, or probably there is more that I can, really work on. So I think that's a very, I don't know, like, how to summarize this answer.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm again going to like
I no no
really.
no. I found the summary while you were answering. You said settling is a work in progress.
Yes, settling is
And
a work in
yeah,
progress.
that's
Yes.
that's what the summary of this entire thing is. So thank you.
Yes.
These were all my questions. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you for coming on the podcast, answering all my queries, being so patient about it, telling me all about Cuppa doodles. Now I feel like having Cuppa noodles.
Noodles, yes. Yes, please have them.
Thank you so much, Nikita. It has been great fun talking to you on this episode, and I'm
Same here.
really glad.
Same here, same here. Thank you so much. I think going back to that journey of where it started is really fun to remember through these questions, the way you've created, the way you've consolidated all the questions, and it kind of takes you to, to what happened, and
Yeah,
what took you, and what thought came to your mind at that point. So that's really important for us even to remember
yeah.
that, this is what happened. This is why you've taken this decision. So thank you so much for doing this.
I'm really glad. Thank you so much for giving me time, and also one project of observing all the people around me, which
Yes,
I'm going to
yes,
do.
sending me snaps.
Sending you snaps. Yes, that is my main job now.
Yes. Please do that. It really helped me. I have a stock, on Google Drive. I
Oh.
keep putting all these screenshots there. So whenever I'm stuck with the body language, I go to those pictures and I find something that fits well into the animation.
I'm giving you more pictures. You'll have to buy storage now.
Thank you.
Done. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikita. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Yeah.